everybody. It's nice to have people joining me in the Hangout, and as opposed to just me ranting for about 2 minutes to my computer screen. But nonetheless, I'm glad people wanted to join, and that there's a lot of people that have RSVP'd to the events. Yes, there's been issues with Hangout, so if you got double-crossed on events, I'll post the actual thing later. You can go to my website, brookandbrown.com. But, as I said, I got some guests here. So Hashim, Korinne, and Toya are going to talk about why they decided to join me and give you a little bit of background on them, and then we'll get right to it. So who wants to go first?
So I'll go first.
All right, there you go.
So Hashim Warren, I'm a writer, and I live in North Carolina. You can see some of my work on HashimWarren.com. And I joined today because I have a lot of opinions about things that are happening, not enough people listening to them. So I'm hoping a few more.
Sounds good to me. Korinne?
Hi, I'm Korinne Jackman, and I don't know what I am except that I'm here. I wanted to be on tonight to talk to everybody about my Real Faces campaign. That is, we're doing a little thing about natural beauty, women without makeup. A lot of people have seen Kobe Kaye's new video called Try, her new song, and kind of linking all into that. I posted some things on my profile. A TED Talk from Cameron Russell. She's a supermodel. She talks about what it's like to be a supermodel and how everyone has their own insecurities. So what we're asking is for women mostly, since men don't wear makeup that I'm aware of that often. We're asking women to post pictures of themselves, their faces, without makeup, and tag it Real Faces. And so we can show everyone how terrific we are just the way we are. That's it.
Word. I love it. Love it. I don't have much makeup on either tonight, so I think I kind of go with the hashtag Real Faces. Yep. Hashtag Real Faces, people. All right, Toya. Welcome aboard.
Toya, hello. I am a real face, too. I don't wear very much makeup unless it's a special occasion. I'm kind of like Korinne. I'm kind of a little bit of everything. I am a recruiter by trade. I help people find jobs, and I always have some weird, crazy adventure going on with that. I'm a mom. I'm a Christian. But I'm not like a Bible thumper type whatever. I kind of live my life. I think we all grow by laughter and positivity. We all struggle with it, I think, because we all get thrown a curveball. But I'm here to just kind of put my input in, hopefully something sensible, and just have fun.
Sounds good for me. All right, to get the elephant out of the room, I think the first trending topic we should talk about is, first of all, I want to put my condolences to all the families and people that perished in yesterday's plane accident. That was crazy to wake up yesterday and kind of look on the news and see that there was a plane shot. But I kind of have my own kind of conspiracy theory. Because they're the same airline. My feeling is this is exactly what happened to the other plane. It's that they covered it up a lot better. Anybody else doing that? I'm not saying I'm an official word. I'm not the government. But considering they haven't found the other plane, and then this just happened with everything that's going on in that part of the world between Ukraine, Russia, the Middle East, Syria, North Korea is being ridiculous to South Korea right now. I think the world's kind of in this like chaotic state, and with my feelings is that's what happened. If they can't find it in the oceans, which, I mean, we don't know half of what we need to know about our oceans, but I feel like this is what happened to the other plane. Anybody else want to kind of weigh in? I saw some head nods and shakes.
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot that we. I think that there's a lot that we don't know. Like Brooke was saying, I think there is a lot that's covered up. So we are stuck with a lot of conspiracy theories. I think for some reason, and maybe I have my own, but I think the 9/11 was very impactful for terrorists. They saw that the plane was very powerful in the way that it was used. I mean, it dominated U.S. soil. And, I mean, that's a huge without using a bomb. That's a huge thing to take down and a huge thing to use against another country. It's plenty of people on it. You can do a lot of damage. The whole plane missing, I think that really goes in line with this. But like you said, I think that that one was shot out too. It's just a matter of they won't confirm it. It's just tragic, and it's just crazy that you're afraid now to fly over or on foreign soil because of stuff like this. I mean, it's just a detriment to, I think, the world, the global economy, and they're kind of winning in that regard. But that's just kind of my take on it.
I need everyone who like has the ability to start a war to not jump to any conclusions about this. I was on Twitter and I saw that Holly Robinson Pete, who I really like, she posted a photo of some guys when they were holding up a toy from the wreckage, and she's like, "Can you believe this? Like, no, look at them picking over the wreckage." And I responded and I said, "Hey, we don't really know the context of that photo. I don't see them celebrating. I don't know what's happening there. So that's fine for myself and for Holly Robinson Pete and for anyone else to misinterpret or have theories about stuff. But for President Obama and presidents of other nations, I just hope that they pause before they assign blame, decide what to happen next, or what have you, because this is so emotionally charged that I fear that the next step might be the wrong step."
That's a good point.
Well, I'm looking at it from a different perspective, and
I think something that.
Go ahead, Toya.
Oh, I was just going to chime in on just that one little piece that he said. I think that a lot of times the internet is our friend, but it's also our enemy, because they can take one image and so many people can Photoshop and do so many different things with that. And like you said, it could really take the audience in one direction or another, because we don't know if that really was toys on there or somebody Photoshopped. Unfortunately, we kind of have to have some skepticism with it as well. Right. So I think that plays a part. I think Hashim made a really good point with that.
Korinne, what were you going to say?
All right, well, Brooke, first I want to address the first Malaysian Airlines flight that went down in the ocean. And I don't think that it's a conspiracy theorist bent if you were to say that the plane was shot down. I think that it was shot down. I thought that all along, mostly because they didn't get any distress calls, and all of a sudden, boom, it was just gone. That would also explain why they couldn't find it. I realize the ocean is huge, but a big airplane, they would be able to find it, but I think it was probably more likely that there were pieces of it all over the place, which is what would happen if it was shot down. Well, why it was shot down or how it was shot down, I don't think we'll ever know that. But I don't necessarily believe that it's related in any way to what happened yesterday. Already the Russian separatists have claimed responsibility for this. That's still to be determined whether that's fact or not, but all indications are that they did do it. Most people think it was a horrible accident because they're not the Russian army, they're not the Ukrainian army, they're not the United States Army. They don't really know what they're doing. It's very possible that they shot it down by accident. I think they probably shot it down on purpose, but not realizing that it was a commercial airline. The airlines were not flying in that area because of all the problems that were going on. Why Malaysian Airlines decided to fly through it, only they can say. But at this point, I think that airline probably is going to go under. They've lost 2 planes in 6 months. So I just don't see that they're long for this world. I certainly would never fly them, but I think that the European nations need to start taking a better look at what's going on with Vladimir Putin. And I think that this is probably a call to action for that, and unfortunately 235 people lost their lives because of it. But I think that we're going to start seeing them backing us on the sanctions. I also don't think it was a coincidence that it happened right after we enacted the sanctions. So I think it was very unfortunate, but I think this is something that is going to escalate in a different direction now. I think we may see the more action from the European countries, especially Germany and France and Italy, backing us up with Great Britain.
Especially since Germany just won the World Cup. Hey, no, not that I'm German. I just wanted to throw that little tidbit out there if you don't care. So we kind of covered that, and I appreciate all the viewers that are watching us live right now. There's more than who has ever watched Sports Chat TV at one time, so I appreciate it. Yeah, I tend to throw those things in. I'm sorry. But we're going to kind of move on into something that is not as politically charged, but I did want to address that issue because it's such new in the minds of people for the last 24 hours. A lot of people, well, maybe it's just me, I've been a Robin Thicke fan since the beginning of his career. And, well, let's just say Paula is not his best work. And it is evident by the fact that he sold like 2 copies in other foreign countries and like 22,000 here. And, in fact, I didn't even buy the copy. I just listened to it on Spotify for free. So he got the royalties from the advertisements. But what I'm saying is, do you think the over-advertisement of Paula, the get her back, all the misogynistic claims that people have from Blurred Lines last year is backfired, basically. Because he went from having one of the best songs, the number one song, number one album, to this album that he wrote in a month, tanking. So, what are y'all's thoughts about the whole Robin Thicke fiasco going on? Exactly.
Okay, well, I don't like him. I don't listen to him because I don't like him.
No, it's stuff
So I'm not totally surprised that his album isn't doing well. It reminds me of, in a way, Brendan Flowers. Brendan Flowers released his solo effort, which was called Crossroads, had one good song, and all the rest of them were terrible. And it had huge airplay, a lot of promo, and then it just died. It just completely just went away. So I kind of am likening what you're saying about him to that same kind of phenomenon. And he's not the only person this has ever happened to. I don't necessarily think that this means that his career's shot. I just think he's in a horrible slump. And it could be because Miley Cyrus was twerking on him. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts?
Robin Thicke, I haven't heard the new album, but Robin Thicke's last album underperformed. It did not sell 1 million albums, and he had the biggest song of the year, which means people liked the song and they didn't like the album. The huge hit of a song masked the fact that he had a poor album last time. I'm reading Wikipedia, and it's 700,000 copies of the last album sold. The one before that, 200,000 copies. I think people have mistaked Robin Thicke as a bigger star than what he actually is, and this album kind of strips that bare. So no more Famous Wife, no more Hot Single. He can go judge a reality show.
But, I was just thinking, as you were talking about that, we just have 2 examples right there of albums that had, like, a huge hit, but the albums themselves were terrible. And I know that there's more out there. And maybe in this day and age of when you can just download one song, maybe artists shouldn't be trying to do an album compilation. Maybe they should just do singles. I mean, because most of us, at this point, I don't buy albums anymore. I don't buy CDs. I'm downloading song by song. I don't need the whole album. Sometimes I don't even like the albums that I listen to, but I happen to like a particular song. So I'm wondering what you guys think, because you're all like 30 years younger than me. So why don't you tell me what you think? Do you think that maybe at this day and age with the availability of music online, should they even bother trying to compose an entire album of music? Why not just one song?
I think for Robin Thicke, he should stop making albums. But but other people, if they make an album that's a complete story, Beyonce's album had a complete thought to it, and she released it that way, I think that works.
What are your thoughts, Toya?
I think that.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Well, I just want to throw in
I
one
was
quick
just
thing,
saying that
real quick.
I like Robin Thicke. At least,
Oh.
okay, I liked Robin Thicke, and but okay. No, I was just saying that I like Robin Thicke, but I think he blew up really with the evolution of Robin Thicke because that was like to me was his best album, and so from there we were propelled to go buy that next album in anticipation that it was going to be just as good or better than that last one, and then it wasn't, and then it just like he said, it just really started tanking and progressively getting worse, and this album is not good. There's 2 or 3 okay songs. And then it's just, he tried to do this old school feel. It's just not working. And I hope that he can get his bearings back because I really think that he's losing that audience. And him just begging, it's just like, okay, dude, get over it. It's just, it didn't work. He's got to do something. He's got to switch it up some type of way. Go back to the Robin Thicke, the evolution of Robin Thicke. Go back to the love making, I love you, whatever. You need to channel that and bring that back or something.
Well, my thing with this whole album, Paula, and the whole him and Paula Patton being separated, my thing is, from what I've understood, their entire relationship has been an open relationship. They've been together since they were 14. They've had a kid together. Their relationship has kind of been not the most traditional relationship from what I've seen or heard. I'm not them, so I can't really speak for them. But what shocked me was all of a sudden when she did leave him for allegedly doing something at a club or the whole Miley Cyrus thing, because it's not like that's got to be the first time in their entire relationship that something like that has happened, especially with the career he's led. So it's awesome. It was awesome that he was going to dedicate an album to his estranged wife, but on the other hand, it's gotten to past that point where it's just like overly publicized, and it was way underperformed than what people expected from it. So that was my take on it.
You know,
Go ahead.
If he was making an album dedicated to his estranged wife who cheated on him, I don't know, there's just a more compelling story than I cheated on you. Just, I think people, okay, for me, when he did the Oprah interview and he started making excuses for grabbing on the leg of a woman and being photographed and, oh, it was in the club, that's what or, you know, Miley Cyrus circling, she's like, he said, you know, Paul got all this, you know, scene from Denzel and all this other stuff. My wife and I watched that, and we got a feeling from him, like we were talking to a 14-year-old or hearing from a 14-year-old. I just don't think that the story that the album represented really felt good. I'm not surprised that it's
So, Korinne actually brought this question up earlier. We're kind of going to go shy away from the whole Robin Thicke thing and just talk about music industry in general. I wanted to throw in, there's an artist I follow who's actually made his entire music career just by making singles and collaborating with other DJs and artists, and he doesn't release albums. And he's never done it. Even before, he's been doing this since the 90s, even before, you know, downloading music was like as big as it is now. He was doing it when there was still CDs and people still went to record stores, as they were called. But he's made his career on just releasing like an LP, like a couple songs here or there, or a few remixes and one radio edit. So maybe there needs to be a shift, or maybe artists need, if they're going to make an album, they actually need to take more than just a month and like rush into releasing it, because if a good album like Justin Timberlake took 6 years off, and to be honest, I like his new album. A lot of people don't, but the 2-part album, to me, he took his sweet time to get back into music.
But he had that luxury, Brooke. Not all of them have it. It's a contractual issue. The record companies dictate to them what they get to do and when they get to do it for the most part. Justin Timberlake is a little different story because he started out, a few decades ago, and then went into movies and started acting, and he had a little bit more leverage. And the other issue about the albums and how they're made is who's producing that album. You know, whoever produced Robin Thicke's album and had it all over the place doesn't know what they're doing, or they're out to destroy the guy. Because
Yeah, he did it on his own this time.
they just don't. They don't have. If he produced it on his own, that was a stupid move. It's like a lawyer. You don't represent yourself. You just shouldn't produce your own album unless you really, really know what you're doing. Anyway,
He's like the
go ahead.
bad friend that had on the ugly outfit, and his friend didn't tell him that outfit didn't look good before he went out. They told him, "Oh yeah, that looks real good going out."
Right. So along the lines in the entertainment, I'm going to kind of shift from music to movies. So any great movies? Usually the summer's known for blockbuster great movies. And the only movie to me this summer that has been that blockbuster, which I have yet to see, is the new Transformers. I've seen a few other movies here or there over the last couple months, but it hasn't been that summer like last summer was, where there was like 6 or 7 movies that I needed to see. Is it because we're so sick of sequels and remakes, or is it just because there's this every other year there's that lag of good movies?
It's interesting that you bring that up because
I think it's
Planet of the Apes finally. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's the remakes. Like if I see one more Spider-Man, I'm ready to scream. Like I'm tired of Spider-Man. As awesome as they do with it, like the last one, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of Spider-Man. I really am. But I did see the Planet of the Apes. That was really, really good. I'm such a fan of the Transformers series, but in this last one, of course, the graphics were like awesome. But it was really, to me, it's hard for me to critique it, but it was to me unnecessarily long. And I think some of the movies they try to do too much, but I don't know what it was this year. I thought Captain America, the second Captain America, was way better than the first one. But plus, it depends on the genre of what people want. I really want a good horror film personally, but go for it. I'm sorry.
If I'm not mistaken, Planet of the Apes is the first movie this year to do 100 million in sales in the first weekend. And it's kind of weird because usually by this time we've had 3 movies that broke that or something like that. I think they've had good ones this year. Captain America, Godzilla, things that people want to see. I think the problem, at least if I look at my family, like my wife just discovered Lost on Netflix, and she was embarrassed that she's up to season 5, which means that she's watched like 100 hours of Lost. We watched Lost together, and I kind of spoiled things for her because I wait till you find out about Locke, and we don't need to wait for the next sequel to get our kind of story fix. So I actually think movies might be feeling pressure from television and the ability to watch a lot of television, binge watch television. So I think even more than sequels or the quality of the movies, there's just other options out there.
So that kind of goes on.
And the movies is very expensive.
Very expensive.
Ridiculous. The movies are expensive. Now they've redone all of our theaters, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't know, like other sensible Americans, but if I can wait on a movie, because now they're hitting DVD so much faster, or I'll watch it online. Yeah, I said it. If it's a movie that doesn't require like some special effects, for me, like Think Like a Man 2. Okay, I want to see that, but I don't have to go to the theater. Planet of the Apes, Transformers. I need to be in an IMAX theater with my seat back with a little vibration thing on it. Now, it's $15 a ticket, and I got to sneak my snacks in, but that's what I want to see on the big screen. So it's almost like, you have to weigh out that investment of, is this movie, unless it's The Rock. Now, I'll go see The Rock. I don't care if he's a cartoon character. I just had to throw that in there. But if it's, but I mean, if it's the special effects, we want to, We want to be in the IMAX. We want to be in the full screen theater. If it's just a regular movie, we kind of can forego it because in a couple months it'll be on DVD anyway. You know what I mean?
So what I was going to pose is, you kind of touched on this a little bit, is that with Amazon Prime, Hulu Plus, Netflix, subscriptions to like HBO Go, Showtime, all of that, with a lot of really great programming. Like I'm behind. I haven't started Orange is the New Black. I haven't started the Kevin Spacey one. What is the one?
House of Cards.
House of Cards. I need to watch that.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah,
Love
it is.
So what I'm getting at is, with an onset of good quality viewing entertainment on those type of online subscriptions, do you think that's the reason why movies are now like in that desperate stage of we gotta be like epic, or?
But they're not epic. They're not. I don't think they're epic. I mean, okay. I'm not going to go see the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, because I saw the original in the movie theater when it came out, and to me, that's Planet of the Apes. Now, my son went to see it. He's 18, and he came home and said, you know, it was really great. I loved it, and I can't wait for the next one, but it's kind of stupid that they don't come up with new ideas and they keep remaking movies. And I felt the same way. I mean, I don't really want to see a prequel that really wasn't a prequel. They're just making it one because they've run out of ideas, and that's how they make more money. And you're right. There's so much available online. I don't even go to the movies anymore. You can even get Redbox online. So why do I need to go anywhere? And I have surround sound. So we just use our Chromecast, or we have an internet, a smart TV, or I sit in here in my office where I am right now, and with my laptop, and I watch. And actually, I have two computers in here, so during the day when I'm working on my laptop, and my desktop is an old XP machine, and it runs movies or news all day long. I can watch the news all day. I get Sirius online. I don't need to go to the movies for anything, except for the experience. You're right. You go to the movie, get your popcorn and your whatever you drink, and you sit in the chair, and it's all around you, and it's the whole experience. But in DC, IMAX is $18. A regular ticket's $13.50. Popcorn is like $12.50 for a big bucket. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's $100 to go to the movies, and to me, it's not worth it.
You know, I moved from Manhattan to Greensboro, North Carolina, so I love the movies here. I'm like, yeah, let's see a movie every weekend. I actually like all the sequels and prequels. I actually love serial fiction, whether it's a long comic book series or a soap opera, where like they reward me for watching for 5 years because I catch that reference, or I care about that character, or I've been waiting for that twist. So I like the fact that they're doing all these sequels and prequels, and I think folks like it too because, you know, people are like binge watching Game of Thrones when it comes out on when it hits HBO Go or Netflix or something. But, you know, they are also making prequels and sequels where they expect us to watch just because we watched the last one. So they're trying to disguise lack of quality. This should not be another Ice Age. This should not be another Shrek. You know, so while other movies they're actually making better, which I didn't see Transformers, but I heard this Transformers was better than the last one. Captain America was better than the last one. So, and I love the fact that when you get to the second or third superhero movie, you no longer have to talk about the origin story. You can get right into the action. Unfortunately,
right, that's just like James Bond. I've been watching James Bond my whole life, and I'll watch them over and over and over again. And you don't have to watch one to understand the next one. And that's great, and I love that. And so for that, I can understand. And then there was a movie called Salt with Angelina Jolie. And they left it, the ending was hanging, and I've been waiting ever since for the follow-up, and there isn't one. It's driving me nuts. You're right. I could go watch Ice Age for the 50 millionth time because I really want to see John Leguizamo again. You know, no, I really don't.
I think the Star Trek series does a really good job. I watch the old Star Treks. I watch the new generations, but the movies are freaking awesome. The
Yeah.
graphics are often awesome. The character development, and it's great if you know the history, but you don't have to just go on this adventure, and it's awesome. They do a really good job with that series.
I think too, like with the Star Trek, the reason the Star Trek has been so successful, the new movies and stuff, is because they, not to spoil it for anybody, but you kind of see it coming where they have cameos from the original actors.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
And they're intricate to the plot line.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And because they had so many spin-off series too, it was keeping it
like a little icing on
alive.
the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deep Space Nine and all that.
Yeah.
So some of the remakes that they have coming out, when they remade RoboCop recently, and it looked like a television movie, mistake. They're remaking Weird Science, not Weird Science. Yeah, they're remaking Weird Science.
Yeah.
No, but see, that's an iconic movie. How can you remake Weird Science? You can't.
They're remaking Dirty Dancing, and they screwed up with Footloose. Come on.
Right, you can't do it. And it's like you couldn't redo Ferris Bueller. You'd ruin it. Or Stripes, or Rocky Horror Picture Show, or any of the old like Cary Grant movies. Don't redo Hitchcock. We could go on and on.
I think this really marries with the movies marry with music, since we're talking about both. I think because the industry as a whole, the originality piece seems to just be missing. Like they have to remake stuff. They have to remake all these songs. All the lyrics are the same. A lot of these movie plots are the same with different titles. It's just like we just need someone original. Where's that original piece to it to bring us back in, to make us think a different way, or to get us engaged? That's what I think both.
I think that's the biggest problem with like.
Well, what I was going to chime in real quick.
I think that's the biggest problem with remakes and sequels and all this other stuff. Like.
No, go ahead.
But how about a really great guy like Tyler Perry? Tyler Perry manages to come up with a story every time that's new and fresh, and it's about real life, except for Medea.
Yeah.
Okay, but you see what I'm saying?
He's criticized within the black community so hard, though, for having, what they say, these cliche stories. So, but that's a story.
Well, what I was going to chime in and say is there are those original screenplays and ideas out there, but they're not getting the funding. I mean, look at what just happened with Zach Braff. He had to do a Kickstarter campaign to make the sequel to Garden State, and Garden State was a really good movie if you haven't seen it, and I really want to see the sequel. And these are all really good, great filmmakers, but they're not getting past their Sundance Film Festivals or the Cannes Film Festivals or getting enough funding via Kickstarters. Like, he was able to do it because he was well known and people knew Garden State, people watched Scrubs. So he had a kind of a fan following, and then Kickstarter blew up. So he's like one thing. But what I'm saying is there are those great screenplays out there, but people aren't getting behind them enough.
Well, maybe, again, like with the music industry, they need to change it. And instead of trying to put it into big movie theaters, maybe they should just sell it right to Netflix. Or sell it right to Amazon Prime. And let it be a Netflix original, and it goes right up, and we all see it, and we all love it, and he makes the money that way. I think that they need to rethink how they're doing these things. Stop aiming for the $100 million or whatever, first weekend, and just go right to DVD, if you will, except go right to online, and let us watch it online. I would pay $5 to watch it online if it was a first run. Sure, why not? That's not a lot of money when you think about it. $4.99 for a movie, and why not?
Yeah.
Well, and that would hit those industries. Like, I'm in Missouri, we don't have these big film festivals, so that would work for us. I mean, we have some small festivals and film showings and stuff, which are usually good, but we don't, we're not in the New York markets where we can see some of these smaller, really good filmmakers. So I agree with that. If they did, if they wanted to put it out on those little markets or whatever, to pay $4 or $5, promote it on Netflix, promote it on whatever, and then let America watch it, but maybe not necessarily on the big screen if it's not going to be picked up.
Yeah,
I think a big problem for them is that they, Grace Randolph has this great. She talks a lot about how the mid-level movie is disappearing. So you have this very small indie one, and then you have the big blockbuster. But that middle one, except for romantic comedies, is disappearing, and it's tough trying to go direct online because the money's not there, not the way it is when you do a theater and then you release the DVD and you go online. You kind of miss that money, and people won't see it if you just go straight online. There's, no one marketing a big.
No, but that's because they need to. But Hashim, that's because they need to change how they're marketing it. It doesn't mean you can't do it. There's so many movies that get made and then never get released, or they go to limited release and bomb, and they go right to DVD, or now they go right to Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and all that, and that's the only place you can ever see them. And you'll be looking through the movies and you'll say, wow, I never even heard of that movie, and watch it, and it's actually kind of good. But I think they need to change, first of all, their expectations, and secondly, how they want to approach it. They're not going to be able to go to the big movie companies and say, here, like with Zach, he couldn't sell that movie. He couldn't sell it to anyone. And he should have been able to, just on the basis, like Brooke said, of Garden State. But he couldn't. So these people, these small movie producers, need to start looking at online as their vehicle and not shoot for the movie theaters, just shoot directly online and then market it. And word of mouth is a huge, huge advertising boon for these people. I mean, look at Orange is the New Black. It's not advertised on TV because it's Netflix. So how did I hear about it? Well, somebody said to me, you've got to watch Orange is the New Black. And same with House of Cards. And I'm so hooked on them, I can't wait for them to come out again. And I think maybe they could find ways to market these movies to a strictly online audience.
So I have a slightly different kind of, So the way I think they could save some of these middle movies is by movie makers deciding to make series like Orange is the New Black, like House of Cards. Instead of having your script, I think you should be making a TV show. Now folks make TV shows that rival the drama on some of these movies, and I think it should shift the television where the economics, they do work out.
Well,
right now.
I think why we're seeing this popularity of online is the whole cult following thing. That's how Arrested Development came back.
Right.
And you're seeing Jerry Seinfeld do his online series, Comedians in Cards with Having Coffee, or whatever they call it. I probably just totally butchered that. But that's been really successful for him, even though he was already successful for being Jerry Seinfeld. He's doing these things with comedians. And then there are some other, radio shows with comedians coming up. People are using other avenues than just the movies. But I think that's the whole thing, is I think they do, like, I need to agree with you guys, they need to capitalize on the cult following that will use like a Netflix or a Hulu or all of the above. I mean, I've been on all, I have Amazon Prime, so I can't not say that I don't use the Amazon Prime.
Yeah, there's this movie that has been they've been trying to make this movie for a while, called Dear White People, where they finally have a trailer out and finally the movie is going to be made, or it has been made and it will be released. But people kept asking them, hey, why don't you just make it and release it online? And they said, at least from their perspective, the money's not there to do it correctly, to have the high quality production that they want. The money's not there if they try to do it online. They have to raise money to thought that this will go into the theaters, at least for a limited.
Well,
that.
But again, I think that again that speaks to specific expectations, and they keep looking back at the old ways. Now, years ago, I think maybe 20 years ago, Ed Burns did The Brothers McMullen. It was a single camera shot film. I think his budget was $30,000, $50,000, something really ridiculously low. But he managed to pull it off. Great movie. Did end up getting released to the movie theaters, but it had a much bigger following on video. I think, again, there's so many examples out there of movies that were shot on pathetically low budgets with hardly any equipment, with no-name actors, and I think it can totally be done if people start changing the way they look at what it is they're trying to do. Approach it more from an artistic standpoint versus a money standpoint. Because once you perfect your craft, the money will come. You know, I think online streaming is one of those, you know, if you build it, they will come. And we've obviously seen that with Netflix.
Us as consumers, just on the show, I'll point out that we just complained about high ticket prices, but you know, I pay for Netflix, so you know, I pay for Netflix and I see tons of movies and shows, while I also pay the same amount that I pay per month for Netflix to watch one movie. For some reason, people are paying directly much more for a movie than for. I would never pay $6 for one movie to watch it one time online, but I totally pay $6, $7, $8 plus popcorn plus travel to see a movie in the theaters one time. I just don't know why movies in the theaters make more money, but it's a weird thing. But as of right now, they still do.
That's a good point, because you think, when you put it in perspective, it's $7.99 for Netflix, and I can binge watch like seasons of stuff for like a week for still that same low price of $7.99 versus that 2.5 hour shot at $15. So that's, I mean,
right, because what you're paying for is the experience. That's what they're banking on. You're paying for the experience. But as TV prices come down and the screens are getting bigger and the sound systems are getting better, you can't top the quality at 1080p at this point. But and the prices for online streaming are coming down. I really think that there's a better market for in-home watching than there is going to the movie theaters.
And I think that's why the theaters are doing a lot of what they're doing. I really do. The theaters are doing a lot. Like for here, they've taken all of our theaters. They put massage chairs in all of them. They've got like the full curved screen. They've got bars. You can order your food. They're really trying to entice us to come in, like Korinne said, for that experience over at home. But just like Korinne said, when I turn the lights out and I put my Avengers in Blu-ray with my surround sound, I can sit there in my underwear and be happy. I don't have to worry about using gas. I can do whatever and still have the experience. Hey, don't act like I'm the only person that's ever done that. Come on. Just scratching and digging, just sitting up there. You can pause and go to the bathroom. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's the thing too. That's a big thing too, is that you can pause it if you get interrupted. You get a phone call or you got to go to the bathroom. You can't do that in the theater. You miss that whatever 10, 15 minutes by walking out, and then you got to do that whole awkward, like whether you're in front of people or the like scooting through the line. You don't have that at home.
No.
Whole, like,
if you get the AMC app, they have incorporated a section into the AMC movie app that's called It's called Run to Pee. It will tell you in the movie the best place to go pee, and when you come back, you can click what did I miss, and it will tell you. I used it this weekend. I was like, wow. So I heard Caesar say, they will not get us. I'm like, that's my cue. Let me run to the bathroom. You can download it there, I'm telling you.
It's funny because music artists are being told to do the opposite of what is happening with movies. So, like, with music artists, I can listen to your album 100 times on CD, but they're telling artists focus on the live show, where they're asking me to pay $35 to see them once in concert, and they're like, "That's the future of music. Go that way and charge me $20 for the T-shirt and all this other stuff." And I'm like, I have it. I can listen to your album anytime that I want. But with movies, folks are being told that Netflix is the future. I actually do think it's the future. But it's weird how two different industries. One has to go to live and experiences, and the other one, which thrives off of live experiences, has to go to kind of that buy it and online type of thing.
I just want to kind of piggyback on what you just said about music experiences and concerts. If you haven't figured it out, if you don't follow me on other places, or you haven't read anything that I've written lately, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm a huge New Kids on the Block fan. And they've been touring since 2008, and they've put out 2 new albums. But I think I've seen them in concert, oh God, I don't even know, in the last 6 years. I was just in Vegas with them all last week, and then a month ago I was on a cruise with them. So, yeah, if they want to do experiences, what they need to do is be like the New Kids and be like, all right, you can go to the Bermuda from New York and party with us on a boat for 4 days. Or you could go to Vegas, and we'll do after parties and all that stuff, and you can see 4 concerts in a row, and it's not, I mean, yeah.
Weezer does that. Weezer has a cruise, and there's a cool jazz cruise too.
I've heard of these.
Yeah, but yeah, you're probably not into the cool jazz part, but Weezer is a great group, and they're a fun crew of people, and that's what they do. I know there's other groups doing it as well, so I think you're on to something.
Kid Rock has a cruise. I mean, it's not new, but what I'm saying is I think we're starting to see a shift of where the experience is what they're going for, and that is what's going to get more money out of people than the money from record sales or that movie in the theater. Is what I think we're all kind of agreeing is it's now become part of the experience more than it's just that one entity, right?
Well, you know, I just have one of the old fogey here. I think that we're looking too much for people to. This is going to sound ridiculous, a little anti-music or whatever, but why are we looking for them to entertain us in that way? The music should stand on its own. The movie should stand on its own. I mean, why do we need them to then take it another step, and now we have to party with them too, or now we have to go on a cruise with them too? It's like, when's it going to be enough? And then what's next? I mean, I know there's a radio station in Philadelphia, and I'm sure others do this as well, but you know, you can enter a contest to win to have the band come and play in your house before they go and do their concert. So it's like their opening act is for you in your own home, and I think that's really cool and everything. Don't get me wrong, I do the celebrity thing and everything, but I don't understand it. Why do we need them to entertain us that much? It's like asking Van Gogh, well, could you like come to my house and paint for me before you do your next? I mean, you know, maybe I'm on a bent, but I just think it's a little. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and when is it going to stop? And ticket prices aren't $35. Where do you live?
Yeah, I know. The last weekend alone in Vegas was not just $35.
No.
Cruise to Vegas was not just $35. Cruise to Bermuda. No.
Yeah, no, they start at like $60 or something. I don't know.
I think the movie industry needs to take a cue from the music industry, because I think there's a lot of artists that have been discovered or that have a following just from putting their music out online. So when we were talking about blending the two, I think that's really, I know I've come across a lot of good artists lately just because I'm desperate to find some good music. I listen to a lot of the old stuff I listen to, but a lot of the new stuff, there's like, it's slim pickings. It really, really is. And so I found a lot of artists that are not on those major labels, and they are awesome, and I try to share them as much as possible. But the internet is really a powerful tool. So I think hopefully the internet can kind of take that cue from, the movie industry can take that cue from the music.
Well, Amazon offers free music for new musicians. I don't know if you're aware of that, but if you go to Amazon.com and you search on music, there's free music out there, and it's specifically these small independent labels or musicians who are just trying to be heard, and you can get some great music for free. And so you should check that out.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot because right now I work at a marketing firm, and I try to convince our clients who do all this offline marketing to like advertise more online by saying that online is not really working right now for breaking new artists for music unless that next step they take is kind of mainstream radio. A great example is Macklemore, who put out tons of music, mixtapes, independent albums, and all this other stuff. Then he struck a deal for a record label. He had a radio hit. And now he's able to charge $55 for a ticket, $100 for a ticket for a concert. and can perform the same song for the next 10 years. But he, you know, his big break had to be, you know, now I can sign a record label deal at a good on good terms. That's what his online following, which he built over like 10 years, led to.
What about people like Lizzie Spit and right? Lizzie Spit's all over G+. That's the only way I ever heard of her, and she's fantastic. And Ryan Von Sickle, he's another one.
Heather Faye.
Heather
Terry
Faye.
Musk.
Right.
Rebecca Pearl.
Right. Matt
I'm down
Gibson.
with all of them.
Hey, when we get through with this, can we list some of our favorite online artists, like in our comments or something? Because I've got a few to add too, and maybe we can help share some of them. And some of those movies, like I wrote down The Garden State and The Dear White People. So.
All right, yeah, we can do that. So speaking of, I don't want to take up everybody's Friday night. We've kind of got a little bit longer than I had originally, but I'm glad that we've had viewers the entire time. And shout out to all you viewers. You're not putting any comments on the question and answer app, so I just think you're just watching us blindly, or you have us on the other room, and that's cool. Like Korinne said at the beginning of the broadcast, check out her profile. She has a great Real Faces campaign going on to kind of go with what Dove started but never finished. Check that out. If you want to see more trending topics every Friday from me and any of these wonderful people, please support my Patreon campaign, patreon.com/Saxy15. And this will be up on brookembrown.com as soon as I get it completely edited. By edited, I mean, you know, it's on YouTube. I want to thank my wonderful guests, Toya, Korinne, and Hashim, for joining me on this episode and all their wonderful opinions. And we'll see you on the next Trending Topics with DB. Good night, everybody.